Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. The silver markets are asleep. Let's explore. Well, this article I'm referring to is from FX Empire, and it's saying that the silver markets are dead. But I disagree with that. I just think they're asleep right now. They're completely flat over the past couple of sessions. And there is a technical analysis called the EMA that is an indicator of kind of to see where silver has been as of late. And it is indeed flat. And it is indeed asleep. But you may remember I have referred to silver as being hibernating money. You know, it's money that's essentially asleep right now. But we have seen silver act as a commodity in the market, and I think that's one reason why you see it separated from gold as far as the ratio is concerned. Yea, though, it does move with gold whenever the price, whenever there's any kind of movement in the markets. Silver tends to perform above gold, outperform gold during times when both the metals rise, and it tends to underperform gold by an even greater margin, it seems, when the prices fall. But in this particular day here, and as has been the case for the last couple of days, silver has been flat. And you know, as of right now, the recording of this video, silver is above $24, but it's down from previous levels there. It did dip below 23 momentarily, and it is relatively flat here. The markets have been just can't seem to get past that $25 level. And, you know, gold is down a little bit too. But again, as we saw today, silver falls even more when gold falls. They've gone back and forth during trading sessions on today, Wednesday, as they continue to dance around this 50-day EMA. The 50-day EMA is the common technical indicator for people to follow. So it is not a huge surprise that we would end up hanging around that level. Ultimately, that is only a matter of time before we've seen some type of move, but now we're essentially in the middle of this larger range. Seems that the market is simply waiting for some type of catalyst. Well, what other catalyst do you need? We've seen, you know, the vaccine announcements. Two major companies have announced vaccines that are 95% effective. And, you know, that's a pretty big catalyst. But, you know, those happen and the prices go down and then they kind of bounce back up into their relative levels where they were before. If we look at the dollar index, as it could give us a bit of a heads up as to where silver will go next. After all, there is a significant negative correlation between the US dollar and silver as of late. So at this point in time, if one goes in one direction, typically the other is going in the opposite direction. That's something we all understand if you pay attention to the markets, that the metals work with inverse of the dollar index. All things being equal, the correlation should continue to hold as such, so there's no interest in trying to get into the position here. It's probably best to leave silver alone, but I think the longer term, there will be more upward pressure than down, is what the author is saying here. And I do agree. In the longer term, that's what always happens. I think that's a very safe assumption we can make. In this sleep mode that silver seems to be in is just a testing of patience. How long can we get through this test? We shall see. With everything going on in the world, it's difficult to imagine where we will go next or what could happen with the market. Central bank intervention could continue to flood the markets with liquidity, and this is why one should be optimistic for silver prices longer term, maybe even in the midterm. And that is the case where you need to think about this as not necessarily an investment, but silver as a hedge against that instability in the markets, and because of what the Federal Reserve will continue to do, no matter what the election outcome will ultimately be, or who will be president in the coming next year. But yes, indeed, this metal, silver, it is something that people have been perplexed about its performance, and but you have to also keep in mind that we are, in a sense, right now, for a perspective as to encourage silver stackers out there, we are essentially in the midterm to where we were last year when silver prices were riding around $17, $18, $16 an ounce. Would we have thought that it would have been sustained well above $20 for this long? Probably not. Even in the midst of a pandemic, and even though we have COVID fatigue, so to speak, well, there you are. We have got silver at least performing very well. I remember back in the summer when silver got to $24, $25 an ounce before it was big news. And here it is kind of languishing again, but it's languishing at levels that many of us didn't really see coming this year. Now, obviously, the pandemic being the ultimate black swan event is one reason why we are here. But nonetheless, it is something to celebrate in a sense, especially if you bought silver last year. Silver will continue to perform and do what it does. It is more volatile than gold, but it does react like gold does as a hedge against economic instability. Even though one could safely call it dormant money, and people would very quickly call gold money. You know, gold being money is labeled by the Bank of International Settlements as being that tier 1 asset that we all come to know and love here. It's something that we don't see silver being relegated as such by any kind of entities out there. But I do believe its historical value and the fact that it is still monetized in coins and the like, it is denominated, really rather is the correct term. It is denominated, and its denomination is something that shall not and should not be ignored out there, because silver being utilized as money for exchanges of goods and services is something that I believe will be the first thing to happen if there's ever is a dollar collapse or a currency collapse. Let's say even a global currency collapse. People just lose faith in the currencies of their nations. I think that once a dollar goes, so goes maybe the rest in some cases, which is why I think you're seeing central banks like China moving away and moving more towards hard assets like gold as opposed to the dollar these days. And I think that's something that's going to continue. And that can only bode well for silver, even though not directly. It'd be an indirect movement. I believe that it's only a matter of time before we start to see this kind of movement. Now, obviously, if there's a hard and very quick currency collapse, because make no mistake, if there is a currency collapse, they're going to need to fill the gap. And they're going to need to fill the gap very quickly. And they are already working on that. This reset that they've been talking about, the Great Reset, the Big Bang, as it's referred to, with basically that would involve some sort of digital dollar, digital currencies out there based off of some sort of ledger, digital ledger system like a blockchain or a hash graph or what have you. That is something that's being talked about openly now. And, but if there is something were to happen very quickly, silver would be the go-to currency for exchanges between small communities out there and accepted as a medium of exchange. And that's why it is so valid and important. It can become money, active money, wide awake money very, very quickly. Now, again, with that understanding, I don't want to give the impression that that's going to happen or that's likely to happen. That's unlikely to happen. But with the Fed printing and with what we have been seeing as of late, I believe we're closer to something like that happening than ever before, but it's still highly unlikely. So there you have it, a very interesting day with the news with silver essentially kind of asleep, but a video to encourage you silver stackers to hold on and understand that the metal itself it doesn't do anything. It doesn't doesn't pay any dividends, but it also sells itself for what it is and what it has been for millennia. And I think that is enough to encourage you to hold on to your silver and see where it goes and see what happens and think long term with silver. Hope you enjoyed this video. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video. And I really do want to encourage you to please rate this video. Yes, thumb it up. It does help the algorithm, which has not been too kind to Uncle Sal as of late. Videos have not been doing very well. So that will help. And click the notification bell so that you can be informed of the videos. I think that's part of the problem. Notifications are not going out, or people aren't being made aware of it through the subscription feed and the like. And comment on the video. Post your thoughts. I'm curious to see what you think about silver as of late in the last couple of sessions. And finally, subscribe. Yes, I've been losing subscribers in the last week or so. I hope I'm not offending anybody too bad, but nonetheless, want to try to keep the channel growing. It's not been growing as of late. So I'm trying to do more videos like this from showing some silver, talking about the markets, more freestyle and the like. And so I'm hoping that it will help and maybe bring more interest to the channel. A multitude of gratitude to you all.